All right, want to welcome everybody out to the Maverick Rose Music Hour, live on location at Niche Wine Lounge in beautiful Holly Springs, North Carolina. We're also on the radio at WCOM FM LP out of Chapel Hill and Carborough. That's 103.5 FM on the dial. So doing the thing out there.
Should I also?
That's entirely up to you, man. These lights are kind of bright, so I try to try to protect my beautiful corneas, man.
And we are not in No Food Chapel Hill. We are in, where are we?
What's up, Zen? Everything sound and look all right to you out there, man? Gotta wait for the chat to catch up.
All right.
Just do AI, ChatGPT. It'll let
That's
you know.
right. That's all we do. So some of you may be saying, hey, Darcy looks a little different this week. So unfortunately, we weren't here last week, and Darcy's mom has passed away, so she's not with us this week. So we are, we're sending love, our thoughts and prayers out to the family. So Marty will still be here with us here in a moment to do our intro and everything. We still got Bud the shop dog here, but we're playing through the pain without Darcy. So our fill-in Darcy tonight is Johnny G, who is slightly taller, not as pretty, but close. He's a pretty man.
If I stand up straight.
And we have a wobbly table for some reason.
Well, we know the reason. The reason's because I had to level the table, and it's kind of sitting on a...
What do you mean you had to level it?
So the table, if I hadn't put the thing under the table would be sitting like this. So we got to...
Yeah, but it's never been like that. That's my point. Why is it wobbly this week?
The floor is trying to swallow us
right.
1 week at a time. So, there's that.
We'll probably have more interesting topics than the floor.
Well, I promise we eventually get to the music part of the music show, but we're not there yet. So Zen says, "Oh no, yeah, man, it is sad. We are sad that." So our thoughts and prayers with the family. Marty, what are you doing under the table, man? I'm gonna write a song about that later. Well, speaking of Marty, the Maverick Rose Music Hour is sponsored by Rescue Wood Rehab. Brought to you by the lovely people there. And there is Marty. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Maverick. It's, Rescue Wood Rehab. It's not just about the wood. It's about the experience.
That's right. So how are you guys hanging in there? You holding up
We're
okay?
doing good.
Yep.
Darcy's doing great. And Diane Domino, her mom, unfortunately passed away. And we send our love to
Absolutely.
all the family. And, of course, thank you for your thoughts from everyone to Darcy. And, of course, Bud and I are here tonight. We'll be heading home here shortly to share that love again. So
you guys are going through a lot, man, between her mom passing away and you're actively moving back into the house.
Yeah, we're
after the
actually
house
back
fire.
in the house, and so I want to recognize that it looks like I have new clothes, but I'm actually just getting my clothes back. So I'm recycling the clothes.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. So Johnny, welcome to the seat. I did ask if we should lower the seat for you because
Johnny is the running joke is Johnny is the second tallest man in rock and roll. He once had a sleepover at Billy Corgan's house. Billy Corgan's mom measured him, and he's like 2 inches shorter than Billy Corgan. So he's the second tallest man in rock and roll.
And I also do want to know, and with regard to the table, I did build the tabletop.
Just the top. The rest of the table, you're not responsible.
The rest of the table, I'm not responsible
The floor is the
for.
issue. And Zenbad says right here, he said that the lore for the end of season 2, for the season finale, the floor is just going to swallow us.
It may actually just take you down in, and that does happen. You got to replace those joists every once in a while. Yep. But we're going to get you a new table here soon, by the way.
Zen says, hey, Woodman, definitely sending condolences to y'all.
Cheers to you, Zen.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. So, hey, great show, by the way. You and Jim and
we had a great
Maverick and Jim, which is
some people will say that as Gemini. If you're playing at home and it's your first time watching, or if you're here at the bar and you know the deal, every time that I say Gemini, you go ahead and take a drink of whatever you got with you. So whether that is water, tea, beer, whatever kind of alcohol, non-alcoholic drinks, whatever you've got, you go ahead and take a big swig of it anytime that we say that. Oh, we got the drink of the night coming in. Thank you, Andy.
So speaking of which, we're here at Niche Wine Lounge, and
it is half price wine because it's Monday.
It is half price wine because it's Monday, so the second one doesn't count.
That's right.
But Andy made me a nice little cocktail. I said it was so hot outside, I wanted to keep it nice and light.
Yeah.
And he made a very nice light drink with a little bit of rum.
It looks a little fruity,
little bamboo. And, in memory of Darcy's mom, we'll call this the Diane.
Hey, there we go.
And cheers to Baba. And we love you.
He should have put some Jack in there, man. A little Jack and Diane.
Nice.
With the jokes.
Hey.
Hey, I got my hands full here, guys. Gonna take the dog for a walk. You guys have a great show.
Hey, really quick before you go.
Yeah.
Zin just said Gemini in the chat, so I want to go ahead and call that out. Thank you so much, Marty. We do appreciate you being a part of the show, sponsoring the show, and couldn't do it without you, man. Could not do it without you, so we appreciate that. And we are on location here at Niche Wine Lounge, which is why if you hear all of the noise in the background, that's because it's a packed house tonight, man.
It's swinging tonight, huh?
They heard Johnny was going to be here.
There's chatter. And we got a new girl behind the bar. We don't know who it is.
We got Boston Bill at the bar too. I'm sure he's going to hop up
Billy.
at some point. What's going on, man? How you doing? Good, man. Good. He was on our show earlier this season, so had some interesting insights into things. So that's good stuff. Oh, wait. We got British Jim is out there. He says, "Are you sure the table isn't wobbling because of guitar smashing related floor damage?" It could be. So the trick about that was I was the only person other than Jim that knew that guitar was going to get smashed that night. So I actually put weighted bass on the floor, like a mic stand bass, so he had something to smash against. That way he wasn't tearing up the floor. I didn't want us to get banned from Niche. We've been banned from other establishments. Don't want to get banned from here.
Yeah.
Johnny's fault, by the way.
Yeah.
I'll take the blame. Yeah.
Yeah.
This place
We'll tell that story sometime. But
is teetering.
Johnny is such a rebel, man. He brought his own water, and they said, "You guys can never play here again."
That is a true story. It sounds made up. It is 100% true.
We got banned from a place for bringing water in, so it is what it is.
Among other things, probably. I don't know.
Among other, they're probably a plethora of reasons. A plethora? That's the one. All right, so we're looking at lyrics to start out the night. I had that, so let me see here. I got the second iPad here, so let's see what we got. Thanks to somebody we know. All right. So my song of the night goes a little something like this. It says, "On waves of love, my heart is breaking, and stranger still, my self-control I can't rely on anymore. New tide surprise, my world is changing. Within this frame, an ocean swells. Behind this smile, I know it well." So that's Ship of Fools, Robert Plant, from his solo career. So
I've heard of that guy.
yeah.
He wrote that?
Yeah. So I like it. It kind of reminds me of something I would write, so I thought
Yeah.
it was good. We'll listen to it later on the radio show, so I got that queued up for us. Jim's first song doesn't have any lyrics.
A little flowery for my taste.
Well.
But plant, right? Plant
Yeah,
a flower.
that's right.
So
your one-hit wonder is Telstar?
yeah,
Yeah. I know all the lyrics to that one.
that's it. I got nothing to say. Telstar by the Tornadoes, 1962.
There you go. That's 19062 for anybody.
And we'll hear it
listening.
later. There's
That's
not
right.
much to say about it. They're actually an English band, and they did hit #1 with that. I think there was some interesting thing, but for some reason I didn't write it down. And my short-term memory is like nothing.
Well, and all of this was planned for last week, and then, of course, we weren't here last week, and now we decided the show must go on, so we are here this week. And so all this stuff was show prepped earlier, and then now we're...
Yeah, I'll look it up while we're talking. But
There you go. That's good.
I mean, I can name all 20 episodes of The Night Stalker from 1974, but as far as what I ate.
So maybe we need to be doing a TV show podcast instead of a music
Sure.
podcast.
I'm up. I could talk some Arrested Development.
Okay, there you go.
Office. You want to get some community going?
There you go.
Let me know.
It's Troy and Abed in the morning. Oh, we're streets ahead right now. All right.
Get some kettle corn, settle in.
So I know that Darcy was going to talk about the Bee Gees. She was going to do our deep dive into the Bee Gees.
Yeah.
We're not going to be talking about the Bee Gees, though we will be listening to some Bee
play
Gees
some.
later. Yeah, we'll play some for you later.
If you're out there listening, Darcy, we love you and miss you.
We do love you and we miss you, and our thoughts are with you. And hopefully you'll be back to us soon, but certainly don't rush. We'll hold the fort down until you're ready to come back. So if you're looking out there and you say, "Look, I like these fancy pins everybody's wearing," these are available on our Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/the Maverick Rose Music Hour, for our first 40 supporters, you'll get these. These are founders badges. So Thank all of our patrons out there for supporting us. Boston Bill's one of them out there. I think so. I don't know if Boston Bill and William are the same person. Big Bad Bill is Sweet William now? Is that the... Okay. I got them all night, man. I got them all night. All right, we're going to keep things rolling right along here. So, one of the things that we were going to talk about tonight originally was the got Elvis back there. He said, "Thank you very much."
What's the name?
What's the name? Fame makes a man take things over. What's the name? Yep.
We got a new girl behind the bar, so we're kind of distracted up here.
Jim's kind of distracted. That's what's happening. All right. So we were going to talk about AI in music and the impact that has had so far and what the implications might be long term. Do you have an opinion, Johnny?
I was always a big fan of Allen Iverson with the 76ers. Am I on the right?
Man is a franchise. All right. No, this is
okay.
Yeah.
What was it, like 5'8"? He was something.
Artificial intelligence
Oh,
in
that's-
music.
Okay.
Well, not one of
Modern.
Spielberg's best, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you're not going to get anywhere with it. All right.
It brought us a new Beatles song, which I will give it. I know there's some.
Well, hang on. To me, there's two very different. I don't know why they call that artificial intelligence. Because there's the artificial intelligence, which was just technology enhancing the vocals, cleaning up stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the artificial intelligence when you like program someone to sound like the Beatles or whatever, which
Right.
everything I've heard sounds stupid. So I'm not sure why they call what happened with the Beatles artificial intelligence.
I think the technology is artificial intelligence based.
So
That's maybe why.
Yeah, it's the difference between a person sitting down and mixing the levels and you just telling a computer to go fix this.
Or to
And then
create something
yeah.
out of nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
such as programming sympathy for the devil, describing what you wanted in the song, and they programmed it in. So the artificial intelligence wrote their own lyrics, and you guys keep talking. I got to find this for you.
okay. So I think that in the same vein of the Beatles, so there's the light end of things where you take something that already exists and you modify it, which I think is the same thing as you're seeing in film now, where they de-age an actor. Harrison Ford in the last Indiana Jones comes to mind. Some of the stuff they've done in Star Wars. So you're not creating something from whole cloth. You're modifying something that already exists.
Right.
That's where the Beatles falls. The new Randy Travis stuff, because Randy Travis has that vocal injury or whatever, he can't sing anymore. So he
Okay.
actually has written songs, and then he's hired someone who sounds kind of like him.
Yeah.
And then they're using AI to make him sound even more like him.
Wow.
And then they've recorded that, and they're going on tour, and that's of course with his blessing.
Sure.
So this is sort of you're not creating something from nothing. But
Right.
then you've got stuff where there's people who've been dead for a long time or whatever, and they say, "Hey,
Yeah.
do a song in the style of this guy." Like Vince Neil. Let's get a song in the style of Vince Neil.
Yeah.
Can we hear a new Motley Crue song? And
I'm holding back a
stuff
little
like
bit
that
on.
happens. So there's that kind of stuff
Yeah.
where
Or you can
Sort of is on the other end of
literally
things.
say, I'm this style of an artist, create a song about this topic, and it will come up with something. And
yeah.
Like
Or
that's,
do
of course.
WAP in the style of Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
there's some holes in this house.
Well, I heard
Happens.
a song. I heard stuff like the Beatles singing "God Only Knows," the Beach Boys. Stuff.
Yeah.
And it didn't sound.
That was a
like
lost
Beatles.
tape, actually. It was a bootleg recording. God only knows.
I'm always at least a little intrigued at some of that crossover, but I don't see it as any legitimate. It's fun for a quick little.
Dip
your toe
it's a
into it
weird
kind
thing
of
for me
thing.
because I'm like, more music is more music, but I don't know. Like it's also
Yeah.
fake. Like
It's
Hit-
yeah.
Well, let me read one verse of "Sympathy for the Devil."
Yeah.
Here's what we could have had.
Okay.
So won't you please have empathy for our kind? Understand the shadows that we bear. We've played our role throughout history's pages, but we're not solely to blame, I swear. Let me stick this up my...
that's interesting, man. That's interesting. Huh.
So anyway,
Yeah.
why
so-
even bother?
Yeah, that's
Sympathy's a classic.
and
you
this like leads into something else that I thought maybe we could discuss, which is the idea of, is music dead?
I've heard it recently. I've heard music recently. So.
But like, okay, I guess more specifically, is rock and roll dead?
I'm in the middle on that because I think there's still some really good bands. There's still some really good people, and I just wonder if sort of the marketing side of it is not really propping that genre.
So yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think that like what concerns me is like in the '60s you've got the advent of rock and roll where it comes into its own, and then you've got the '70s where you get the bigger bands, and then you've got the '80s where everything then goes video and over the top. You get the '90s with the grunge bands, and even into the early 2000s with garage rock and the stuff that happened there. There's a bunch of different bands that are riding a wave of sound.
Right.
There isn't currently.
Right.
Now that's happening like in country music, and even in pop. Pop hasn't really changed that much, but rock and roll, like I'm not going to say there aren't any rock bands out there, but like even the biggest rock band in the world right now is Foo Fighters. They're from. So there, where's the new rock band?
Yeah.
Because even if you like, you have to go back to like the Killers and Fall Out Boy and stuff like that to get into a wave of sound.
Well, I know Greta Van Fleet's not new. They've been around for a minute.
So
but they're not old either.
Yeah.
But there's a band that like.
So my issue. So I love Greta Van Fleet.
Yeah.
It's actually the last album that I bought was a Greta Van Fleet album where I actually said I'm going to go support these guys by paying money for it. I'm not just going to stream it. But the issue with Greta is they're not a movement. They're a band.
Sure.
So the issue is you can go back to any other time period and there's a bunch of bands that are of equal quality doing the same kind of thing. So whether you want to go back to, like I said, like Fall Out Boy, the Killers,
right.
Franz Ferdinand, Panic at the Disco, all that stuff kind of sounds the same, kind of riding the same wave. And then if you go back further, you've got all the 90s stuff, even new metal in the right at the turn of the century, Limp Bizkit, Korn, like there was a whole sound that was happening. And that hasn't continued.
Right.
For the last 20 plus years, there hasn't been a movement.
Yeah, it is tough because it's also.
Dirty Honey is a great rock band, also just a band. No, yeah, and that's the thing.
Was
like,
that?
I'm not.
What did he say?
Sparrow says Dirty Honey is a great rock band, but also just a band. And yeah, that's the thing. Is like I'm not saying there isn't any good music out there, but the issue is, there's not a current age, and I think that's like a cultural issue. We're experiencing the same thing in all of our media. Movies are the same way. Everything is either remakes, rehashed. There's not a lot of new IPs coming out, and when they do, it's huge, but it's a singular thing. It's not a movement. I knew you'd get in on this. Hold on just a second, man. Let me get your mic on. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Bill.
Right. So I'll speak for my wife. In the U.S., at least, K-pop as a movement is becoming a big thing.
Right.
It's becoming, worldwide, it's been a thing.
Yeah.
But now in the U.S., they've kind of broken in, and more people are starting as a genre.
Yeah. And that's, we did that show on country music.
Right.
Country music is currently experiencing a movement, whether you like it or dislike it. It's happening. K-pop has a huge, but rock and roll, I don't want, like I already said it's dead. It kind of is. Like there are individual bands out there, Greta Van Fleet, Dirty Honey, there's stuff like that. Yeah. Even the Struts, but the Struts are from like the mid 2000s, not current. Like
one of my favorite history teachers said, history happens on a spring. So it happens back, but it's just a little bit different. So I think we're just experiencing that lull where it hasn't come back around yet.
I hope that's correct.
It'll come back, just not in the same iteration that it was.
Yeah, and I know, I've quoted this before, but Little Steven, Steven Van Zandt, he said that, we were fortunate we lived in the golden age where the most popular music and the best music were the same.
Right.
When you think about like from the 60s through like the year 2000, that 40-year period that we cover a lot on this show, that was the golden era. Never before in history had that happened, and even currently, the most popular music isn't necessarily the best written music.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially right now. I mean,
Yeah,
It's
something I know we can't do a show without talking about Taylor Swift, but she was recently voted one of the greatest guitarists of the last 20 years. I think that should tell you something.
That's amazing. That's interesting.
Because I don't even think of her as a guitar player. Obviously, she plays guitar,
Right.
but I don't think of her as a guitar player. So
No, Eddie Van Halen. I mean,
Yeah.
Can you compare the two? And
Right.
In my opinion, I don't think you can.
Right,
But-
right. But that's where we are in music right now, and that's kind of to my point is
Yeah.
that music is still out there, it still exists, but the idea that you've got a handful, you couldn't walk down the street without hitting a great band in any of these other decades, and we just don't have that now.
Now, do you think AI could bring something back to that? Do you think everyone thinks of AI as being, a detriment to art because it's not human derived? But do you think it could spur more innovation and more, I don't know, and I don't know the answer to that.
My concern with that is I think that's out of the essence of rock because rock is really raw. And to me, I mean, I think it's the more authentic it is. So having
I
a
agree.
computer simulate that is not going to resonate necessarily.
I agree.
Let's see, Sparrow out there says, yeah, because everything is single serve to appeal to a bunch of folks with no attention span. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that we live in the TikTok
Well,
era.
I was talking to a musician here the other night, speaking of TikTok, and I didn't realize how TikTok generates so much views. It's so beneficial.
It
to
influences
so many,
everything.
to
Yeah,
so
yeah.
many musicians because you can get a small clip and somebody can say, "Oh, wow, I like that vibe," and then they can click on it. And so it's gone beyond YouTube to some extent, but TikTok, because you get that.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
So
It's huge,
interesting.
huge for artists. Yeah, definitely.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm kind of thinking out loud on this.
Okay, Ed Sheeran.
But since you mentioned that rock is very like a raw style of music,
Yeah.
and the recording process, I'm a recording nerd here, but the recording process has become so AI helps, which
Yeah.
we talked about earlier, which can be a good thing, can be a bad thing.
Right.
The idea of the squeaky clean, polished. It's so much easier to do that now.
Right.
I wonder if that's why rock is maybe suffering a little bit because it's not as raw as it used to be.
I agree, and I think
People
the
playing
move.
the
I
click
think the
tracks
move
and-
away. Yeah, the move away from vinyl, the move away from a single band in a room recording, where you've got Led Zeppelin dragging the drum kit into the stairwell to get
bathroom
the
and-
the right acoustics, all that stuff. I was reading a quote from Tom Waits earlier, and he was saying that he really liked listening to the old records because you could hear a dog barking in the background, and you would know that that house that they recorded that in is probably torn down now, and the guy who made the recording might even be dead, and the band doesn't even play anymore, but that moment in time is captured.
Yeah.
And we've so sanitized everything now to the point because we expect perfection, and it's
And
art.
rock doesn't work that way.
Art is
Yeah.
not supposed to be that way in general, and
Yeah.
and so when it's almost the McDonaldization of music, where we're trying to make it quicker and cheaper and easier to access.
Let's coin that word, McDonaldization.
No, that's an insult to McDonald's.
Sorry, my wife just my wife and I were talking about this AI's impact on art, and she just said that Udio is now getting sued from record labels.
Oh.
Udio's a music generator that you go online and you can generate music. So evidently they're getting sued by record labels. So maybe that could put a little bit of a kibosh on it.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and I think it's one of those things that ultimately, I think it's one of those things that ultimately may get settled in the courts. I mean, it may be something that goes to litigation depending on, because when you've got, lawsuits, I think about like the Ed Sheeran lawsuit where you've got the melody is coming from another song or something. It's like, there's 12 chords, man. It's some of it's going to be derivative. There's not a whole lot you can do about it. Led Zeppelin made a whole career out of that, right, Jim?
Yeah, they're probably the greatest cover band of all time.
What was the song? A Whole Lot of Love was you blew my mind. I literally cried.
I played him a Small Faces song, which sounds just like Whole Lot of Love.
Well, and then there was that lawsuit with Stairway to Heaven was partially borrowed or.
And it's not one of those.
I'm not going to say,
Well, it's not one of those. Well, there's chords out there. Spirit was touring with Led Zeppelin playing that song.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think about like Sweet Child of Mine. Also, there's a song by Australian Crawl that's basically the exact same. Like you can sing Sweet Child of Mine over top of it.
Yeah.
which doesn't go with the original lore and story of how it came about. And Slash declares he never heard that song before, and it's like, yeah, really though? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's questionable. Questionable. When you get that water, how about drink some for Jim and I? I got excited. All right, Jim, give us a wine of the week, man.
This is getting tougher because of my short-term memory, because I get
That's what she
aggravated
said.
every day, but I guess I need to write it down. So just thinking of pronunciation of words, like when I was a kid reading, like a word, A-W-R-Y was always Ari to me until I heard someone say awry.
Yeah.
And so people's names, like I was a big James Bond fan, and back in the old days, the news was on for half an hour from like 6 to 6:30. If you wanted sports, it was 6:25. Maybe you get 1 minute of entertainment. So I never heard anyone say Sean Connery. So he was always Sean Connery to me, you know.
Good old Sheen Connery.
Well, it's local news and then world news, right? That should be close to
Yeah.
world news and then, I remember. And that was, we got the evening paper at that point, too.
You had to wait. If you missed the sports, you have to wait, either watch the 11 o'clock
11
news or
o'clock.
get the paper the next
Yep.
day. So the one I really loved, though, was Rafe Fine.
Yeah.
Now, another James Bond guy. He took over as M because they foolishly killed off Dame Judi Dench.
They did.
But Rafe Fine is spelled, I'll take the fine, you know, F-I-E-N-E-E-S, you know, the fancy French, leave out the... But the Rafe, when it's spelled Ralph, I mean, come on. If I ever run into him and I like the guy, I say, hey, Ralphie boy, what's going on? You know, I just got to do it. Say, can you sign my program for me, Ralph? Just like it sounds, Ralph Fiennes. Have you ever met Sean Connery? So see, that's when my wine.
I can assure you he hasn't, me boy. All right. Speaking of which, we got a Scotsman here at the table.
Aye.
There it is. All right.
That proves it.
That's right. Oh, man. So, Johnny,
Yes,
you recently saw Dave again.
I recently did.
How was it?
Show number 36 for me,
Yeah.
which is not, for a lot of fans, that's not much.
Yeah, yeah.
But, I mean, you know.
What was the best song of the night?
Ooh. I always love when they do the Stone. That's one of those songs with the lights and the band and everything's kicking.
Yeah, yeah.
They really do that one up well. So that one, I think. They did a lot of songs from Before These Crowded Streets, which is my favorite album.
Can I ask you,
Yes.
was there anyone in the background? Because every time that I see you play somewhere,
Yes.
there's always somebody in the background that goes, Gray Street!
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
was there anybody that was like, play Gray Street?
Gosh, I did probably. Yeah, honestly, probably yes, yes. We were camping out on the lawn, and it was a good show, really good show.
Yeah, yeah. You did a little Bowie?
He did a little Bowie, yeah.
nice.
Just Dance.
Yep.
Last year he did Zeppelin.
Yeah.
That was kind of their big, and they do that some this year too. But Bowie seems to be their
What did they do for Zeppelin?
Fool in the Rain.
Don't
Nice.
even know it.
Yeah, and they do it well. I mean, Carter really with that beat,
Yeah.
holds
Yeah,
it
yeah.
down. So yeah,
Good stuff.
Yeah, it was a good
No
show.
opening act, right? You
No
did a
opening
full-
act. They
full
really
set.
haven't been recently
Yeah.
doing opening acts, which
That's really cool.
I'm good with.
Yeah, I like it when it's just
Although
wall
I
to
will
wall.
say through the years, I've seen some really good opening acts. Junior Walker and the All-Stars opened up years ago. I saw, this is going to sound crazy, but I saw Neil Young open up for Dave Matthews Band.
What?
He helped him out. He was doing him a favor.
What?
They played the Scott Stadium in Charlottesville, Virginia, and
Oh,
it
snap.
was like a homecoming show, and Neil Young helped him out. It was more of a favor thing, but that was definitely an opener that was not expecting
Yeah.
to be an opener.
So
anyway.
Dave's from South Africa originally, right?
Originally,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But then by way of Virginia.
By way,
to-
and
to
a
the
little
rest
bit
of
in
us.
New York, but
A little bit, yeah.
His dad, I believe, was a doctor, maybe
Yeah.
something along those lines, and
Yeah,
they traveled a little bit. There was also a lot going on in South Africa at the time, and
Yeah.
they were, yeah,
Good time to get out.
yeah.
Cool. You like
Yeah.
Dave Matthews, Jim?
I do not.
All right. That's cool.
Thank you for asking,
I
though.
thought I would. You know.
I like Johnny, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everybody likes Johnny.
I'm at an age where I appreciate the fact that we all like what we like.
Yeah.
And, I mean,
Now,
And I haven't heard a lot of them, but
Yeah.
what I've heard, I
mean,
I think I like some Bartender song or something.
yeah, Bartender's a great one. Yeah.
Now, I kind of pointed out the fact that if I could bring anybody back with AI, it would be Vince Neil. Who would you bring back, man?
Bring back. Wow. Oh, I
Put
mean,
him
I'm
on a
gonna.
track.
I think I spoke about him the last time I was on the podcast.
Yeah. Season 1, by the way, which is streaming
it's-
live on all your streaming platforms. So whether it's Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, check us out. Also available on Patreon with some behind the scenes content.
I was gonna say I'm a huge fan of James Jamerson, Motown bassist.
Yeah.
He left a little too early. But it would be interesting to see what would happen with somebody who was short term like Hendrix or Joplin or somebody
that just dropped a couple albums, like what
real
would
quick.
happen?
And
Yeah.
that would be interesting.
Maybe
to
I should
see.
take it back and put Gaudier on a track. That guy. He put one song out and was done.
Yep.
So, come on, man.
Or see what Nirvana would have done for years after. That would be.
Nah, I still got to have Vince Neil come back, man. What about you, Jim? Who would you, if you could AI someone back from the?
Wouldn't be anyone I liked.
Okay, that's
Maybe
fair.
like the Bee Gees or something.
Bring the Bee Gees back.
In the
Yeah.
disco era.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
I liked the early Bee Gees.
Sure.
How many of them are around?
I think one's left.
I think it's just one. Yeah.
I've been getting a lot on my Instagram is clips of them well after the disco era doing like acoustic trio.
Yeah, which
of
are usually
some
really good
songs.
performances.
And
yeah.
it's one of those things
Like
where the
stripped down.
disco-y version, if you like it, whatever. But when they do the acoustic and you really just hear the three voices going and just like one or two acoustic
Are
guitars.
they doing disco acoustic?
No, it's more maybe how the songs were originally.
Because I hate their falsetto. It's thin and windy. I don't understand why.
Well, there was
anyone
one where Barry starts going into the really super high, but then he just wasn't. I mean, he was getting there, but he kind of went, "Nah, let's do the regular voice," and kind of went back into his.
It's really, you should check it
middle
out.
range.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
really beautiful,
Yeah.
really solid.
I mean, I love their vocals on the early stuff.
And I think like
Massachusetts.
Yeah, that's one.
there's something about like the really stripped down stuff in general that I like. And I know like I'm pretty forgiving because I like a lot of covers and things like that too. But I maybe it's because of the impact of MTV Unplugged and seeing some of like the heavier bands. Like you see Alice in Chains do it, or Nirvana's comes to mind, obviously Pearl Jam, all those
John
guys.
Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora doing.
And Billy Idol's done a lot of like acoustic sets, and Kiss is famous. They'll do like a pre-show for their like VIP fans where they'll do a lot of their songs acoustic with like a meet and greet or whatever. So I'm big on that. And one of the things that hit me really hard last year was when Songs of Surrender came out. U2, they took all of their hits and they just redid like 40 of them all as acoustic songs. And so instead of all of the effects and the things that you get on Edge's guitar that like you do, you're really getting the raw, like this is what the song was meant to be, and all of that meaning and everything.
I love that.
And so that's really good. If you haven't listened to Songs of Surrender, definitely check it out.
I've always tried, I think because like you said, we
and if you don't, U2 will put it on your iPhone for free automatically.
Without you knowing.
Without you knowing, you'll just go, oh my gosh, U2's on my phone.
But I think listening to a lot of the unplugged thing I was a teenager when that was really blowing up and everybody was doing unplugged. I always loved the song "Long and Winding Road," the Beatles.
Yeah.
And one of my friends hated it because he hated the Phil Spector, the big strings and all that. And I was kind of like, I'm not even really hearing the strings. I'm hearing just the straight ahead. I guess in a way I was hearing it in my head stripped back. And then when they came out with the naked version, that's how I was hearing it the whole time without all the orchestral, cinematic strings that were put in later.
I was talking about U2. Do you like U2?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan, but I like some stuff. Yeah.
Here and there.
So I saw a friend of mine had posted this. They said, did anybody ever actually like U2, or were you just afraid to say you didn't? Like, were any of us ever actually U2? Like, I am, and I'll say I am.
I will say, love them or hate them, you have to. The song "One" is one of those great.
Yeah, I
great
tell the
songs.
story because I play one live now, and whenever I play it, I always tell the story. But back when Napster was a thing, And you
LimeWire.
yeah, LimeWire and WinMX and all that
Kazaa,
stuff.
yep.
So I went to download one by U2, and I saw Metallica one, and I was like, oh, they covered it. This is gonna be awesome. I downloaded like I can't remember anything. I was like, what the.
No,
But this is not the same song at all, man.
I think,
yeah,
too.
yeah. One is the lowest. Like, yeah, both of those songs came out before the
Harry Nilsson.
before the
yeah.
U2 version. Jim is popular tonight, man. His phone's blowing up.
Yeah, well, speaking of Nirvana, you were.
Yeah.
I didn't like their album, their big one with
Nevermind?
Stinks Like.
Yeah, it smells like
Teenagers.
Teen Spirit. Yeah,
But I enjoyed their Unplugged thing.
yeah. Their Unplugged is really good.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's the thing. Like a lot of these bands, like there's nothing wrong with it. They're making the music they want to make. Hopefully they weren't steered by producers or
Right,
whatever to make
yeah.
something inauthentic. But there is something about just stripping that stuff down. And I've been recently toying with the idea of doing a set where it's like a headbangers ball, but it's acoustic.
Yeah.
So I do all that like
Yeah.
80s and early 90s, like the heavier rock stuff, but just as an acoustic set. Is that something you need to read on air, Jim?
Yeah, it's from Darcy. She's watching, but she can't get into the chat.
Oh, hey, Darcy.
So she says, love and miss you guys.
Love you too.
Same.
We're thinking about you.
See you next week, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I'm hoping
Rest in
I'm
peace,
doing
Diane.
you justice. Just
That's
keeping this middle flow going.
That's it.
But yeah, speaking of the Unplugged, I mean, I loved Pearl Jam 10. You know,
Yes.
I was a freshman in high school. That was really my
Gosh, what a good album.
yeah, such a good album. But when they did it Unplugged, it's hard to say which is better because they were both great in their
Right. Do you know, with all of the arguments of ticket gouging lately, there's been a lot of talk about what Pearl Jam went through in the early 90s and the stand
Yes.
that they took. They lost millions of dollars standing up to Ticketmaster, which in the end, unfortunately, didn't make a difference. Ticketmaster's still
Unfortunately,
gigantic.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where, like, I already like Pearl Jam, and then I'm just like, wow, like tons of respect on top of that
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
saying, hey, look, if you charge more than, $1.50 or $2 to our fans to get a ticket, we're just not going to do the tour.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved. Yeah. I think
And then when they
everybody
finally
was
did
with
do the
them,
tour in '94 or whatever, they managed the entire tour themselves.
Yeah.
Really cool.
And it sucked for them that there was kind of no way out of it. I mean, there
Yep.
really was. You can kind of do
Zen
it.
says, "Hey, Darcy," as well. Yep. So we're all thinking about you, Darcy. But yeah, no, Pearl Jam, interesting in that regard.
Yeah.
So
You have
What?
any,
just
any
gonna
comments?
just let the silence sit for a second. I was actually listening
So
to
it's-
Ted's conversation.
So it's not Pearl Jam's fault that the 90s is all kind of morose.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I feel like in many ways, Eddie Vedder is the one who started that
Oh, yeah.
whole like, it's so hard to be a rock star. I'm edgy, like kind of thing.
And in
like,
fairness, that whole grunge thing was about 2.5 years long.
yeah, it's true.
So it's funny. It was such a huge movement, but it really was.
I like some of them songs. They're easy to
92.
play along because they're just boom, 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 boom,
Yeah,
What's
but I mean,
I was thinking about specifically thinking about Eddie Vedder, and I'll never forget. There's a live performance. I don't remember what concert it's from, but it is one of their early show. Well, early '90s shows, '92, '93, '94, something like that, and. In contrast to during this same time, Guns N' Roses are doing their Use Your Illusion tour,
which
where
was
it's just
huge.
massive, 17 tractor trailers bringing out all this stuff. Axl doing his thing, Slash,
80,000
all this
people.
absolutely
Yeah.
insane stuff. And then Eddie Vedder comes out on stage. He goes, get these effing lights off. It's not a rock and roll show, and he's wearing basically his pajamas, it's just flannel and torn up jeans, and it's still an amazing show. There's all this visceral energy, got like songs like Jeremy, where it's really heavy stuff.
before
It's wild.
its time. Before,
It's wild.
Yeah.
Absolutely wild. Those things are going on at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's something I think Motley Crue talked about. That is like, one week you're going and kids are standing in line wearing leather jackets and everything, like waiting to get you with the hair teased up. And then the next week it's like, you can't do it. Steve Vai talked about that too. He said, he didn't change. If anything, he got better. But, he released one album and it was to critical acclaim. And then the very next album he dropped, which was even better than that.
Yeah.
And nobody, they were like, this is horrible. Like, this is old news. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
That'll humble
That-
you, man.
it-
But
it-
that again, that's the movement. different movements, different eras of music, and whether you're in front of it or behind it.
Unfortunately, for a lot of those movements, there was sort of a, how do I say this, media push behind it.
Yeah.
Because if it weren't for the
MTV controlling
yeah.
everything,
Yeah.
really. MTV, VH1, Much Music, like having a stranglehold. Rolling
Yeah.
Stone magazine actually having weight, Kerrang, Hit Parader, like all these.
Yeah.
It was, and there was no internet, so you couldn't just
Right.
go find whatever. It was what was at the record store or what was on the radio.
What was in the top 10 music video? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Home Sweet Home,
Exactly.
all-time music video.
And so it was a more curated experience, but at the same time, we were all having that experience independently
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you wonder, how much do people actually listen to music, or is it kind of fed to them? Here's what you're going to like this week. Or the other thing is, so much of this stuff, I think it's become such a me society.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily want to hear a miracle like Strawberry Fields. You want to hear something you can relate to, like my boyfriend dumped me last week. And
He's looking at you, Taylor.
so
No,
I don't
it's
know.
very true. Yeah. I often wonder that too.
Even the grunge stuff, it's like, oh yeah, my life is like that, you know?
I will
Yeah.
say this: having kind of lived through, middle school for me was hair metal.
Yep.
High school was grunge and buzz. I was ready for the change from hair metal, as much as I love it. But I was ready for the change. But equally, I was ready for post grunge because it was, like you said, it was super dark.
Well,
It had a lot of minor chords,
What?
a lot of overdoses, a lot of like darkness, and it was cool. I don't know. It's cool.
But-
Those overdoses were cool. I'm not saying that.
No. But
I'm
like,
not saying that.
It was.
But
It was a part of the time, though.
part of the time.
It was, and it was.
But I was ready for
so
the next step.
If the '80s were a party, right? Then
Excess.
then grunge was the hangover,
yeah.
and
true.
it's necessary, and it
Yeah.
helps you get your head right.
And then what came after that was like Britney Spears.
Yeah, you had the extremes, right? Because you had Britney
pendulum
Spears.
went, like-
you had Britney Spears. You had Cool Britannia with Spice Girls and Oasis and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then you had the far end of the spectrum with nu metal and Korn and
Yeah.
Limp Bizkit. You know,
which
all that
was,
kind of stuff.
had its own 80s look to it in a way. I always
It
thought.
was kind of swinging back,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It was again a course correction.
Yep.
I think that the thing that we're in now. Oh my, I don't know. They got something going on over there, but is the
Hey,
thing
we're
that's-
working here.
the thing that's interesting though is like there was that. It's like you said, you were ready. You knew, you could feel grunge was coming. Maybe you didn't know it was grunge, but you knew that
Right.
there was another movement coming. And even after grunge, you knew this isn't going to last forever. There's going to be something else.
Yeah.
And then it's like after we got through nu metal, we had that dip of garage rock for a minute with Jack White and again the Killers and stuff like that
Yeah.
came in. And then you've got like your emo bands and your post hardcore bands and
Alt.
stuff like that. Yeah, your
Alt
alt
Nation.
type stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. But even that was weak. Like it didn't have legs.
Yeah.
And
There
then nothing came after that.
I also felt that era too was about a song or two,
Yes.
a handful
Yeah.
of songs.
Yeah.
The artists were almost kind of
Yeah.
take them or leave them, but like the songs were what kind of took off more than the artist,
Exactly.
which
And
is
it-
not a movement.
And it isn't a movement, and it was like even, and I don't know, it's part of that is because of the videos, right? Because of the strength of the video or
Right.
whatever that's pushing it. Which I don't know, it's a decline, but it's interesting just to think about it that
a
way.
hidden gem in that era.
Oh, hi, Jim.
Hidden gem, is that you just drink for that
Gemini.
or no?
Are hiding.
the actor Jason Schwartzman.
Yes.
I don't know how many people know Jason
Yeah, yeah.
Schwartzman had a music endeavor called Coconut Records, which was one of my favorite. I mean, just amazing music. He
Nice.
you would not think he would do. I don't know. Just as the actor I knew from a lot of the Wes Anderson things, like, oh, he does music, and I think Rivers Cuomo was somehow involved in kind of pushing him into doing that.
Yep.
It's
Of
great.
Weezer fame. Those
Of
you
Weezer, yep. But gosh, that Coconut Record is so good. Check it out.
Nice.
It's been out. He had 2 albums, and they were real. I think Jim would like it. I think you would. It's
We'll
not. It's
see.
not. Yeah.
Of course, that's the other thing is albums, and there were still DVDs, and now it really is more about single songs
Yeah.
because of streaming,
I mean-
except for certain artists like everyone wants to buy 12 copies of Taylor Swift's album because it's got different colors. you
We
know?
don't hate Taylor. I just want to be clear.
No, I don't hate her. You know, she gives money to food banks wherever she travels and stuff. So good for her.
What's up, Bill?
But I think that's the way music's going anyway. It's like the encyclopedia, right? You look at the encyclopedia to get knowledge for knowledge's sake. You're not really
You don't read it for the fun of it.
and now you have a certain query, and then you go onto the internet and you type it into Google and you find the answer. And I think music's kind of the same way, where you don't have the radio to just introduce you to a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
You're sitting there going
You're
after one
curating your own
specific
experience.
thing.
Yeah.
And Spotify does that. I mean, to an extent, they might throw a couple things at you, but it's just a one-off
Yeah.
from what you're listening to. You're not exploring the music realm. I don't know.
No, you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. 100%.
So, but it's like you said, it's just singles are more of
Yeah.
a thing, and hopefully it'll come back around.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Fingers crossed. man.
I miss it, it's just like some give and take with it because I mean y'all probably remember too, like you're saying with MTV, but also with the radio.
Yeah.
Kind of having to wait for that song. There was that anticipation of like
having to record it on a
it's
cassette or
coming, it's a
whatever, the
big hit,
boombox,
then you just had to wait
or even
for it.
calling in and making a request, and
Exactly.
whether or not they would get to it.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah. Really
so it
cool
is
stuff.
cool now to have the on demand, but at the same time, the on demand takes away your options.
Yeah.
How long
and-
has this been where you can just hit a song on your phone and immediately have it?
I'll say 10 years, but give or take.
Yeah, because the iPhone was like 2006. So then from there, Pandora was probably like 2010, 2011, somewhere in there. So yeah. Probably at most 15 years.
Well, and then LimeWire or
Yeah.
LimeWire.
Well, yeah,
and
even
Kazaa
and then
stuff.
you could burn MP3
You could.
CDs and stuff. So I mean, I guess to a certain extent,
But that was
early
a
2000s,
mixed bag.
early
That's it.
2000s,
You didn't know what
yeah.
you were getting sometimes
Yeah.
when you downloaded.
I'm sorry to my family computer that I gave
Yeah.
so many viruses to. But no, I think that part of that too is like someone was talking about this the other day, but it's the fact that like our society hasn't really changed. Like we're kind of stuck. So if you think about like everything up to like the early 2000s, I think the example that they gave was in Back to the Future when Marty goes back to the 50s from 85. That's a 30-year gap, right? So it's a different world. Everything is different. Like, black and white TV and, the clothes, everything is different. If you go back 30 years from right now, everything's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything would be the same.
1994.
Yeah, 1994. Like you wouldn't have like this type of cell phone, and the internet would be kind of dial up at best, if you even had it.
If you even
But
had
other
it.
than that, everything else is the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
There haven't been these great leaps in technology and societal changes that we experienced in the last century.
And that, we didn't have fish under the sea dances.
And back then, like, say, take 1965 to 70, even just 5 years.
Yeah.
Everything that happened in that gap, and like you say, you take the last 30 years and what
Yeah, it's
happened.
Nothing. Yeah.
I got old. That's what happened.
So I'm currently rewatching for the 20th time Mad Men. I don't know if anybody's seen
Yeah,
that show.
nice.
But the great thing about that show is it starts in 1960.
Yeah.
It ends in 1969, and each season is
Nice.
a year. And each season is a year, and you really get to see
Yeah.
I love Mad Men.
a
yeah,
representation
absolutely.
of
Yeah.
the changes each year and how drastic it could be at times.
That actually there's a lot of good music in Mad Men too.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic
Yeah.
soundtrack to that.
They even some monkeys. Which song is it from? Porpoise Song.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Don's tripping out or something. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
And Don's girlfriend asked him when the Revolver album came out. She
Yes.
said, "Listen to the last track." And he
Yeah.
lays on the couch and he's playing "Tomorrow Never Knows." And
Yep.
after about 30 seconds, he gets up and takes it off.
All right. Well, really quick, we want to do a little segment that we like to call Talk Doggy to Me. And since Johnny's here, we're going to let him talk a little bit.
Oh,
so
okay.
you have rescued quite a few dogs yourself.
A couple, yes.
Really quick, I want to go ahead and shout out. We personally, this show works with Pawfik Match. So you can go out to pawfikmatch.org. Check out their adoptable dogs. They've got singles. They've got all types of dogs needing fosters as well. So do go check them out over at pawfikmatch.org. If you're not able to foster or adopt, please consider donating. They have their Amazon wish list up there, which helps any of the supplies that you can give. But yeah, so talk about your experience with animal rescue and what it's like bringing in.
Love it. It's so
rewarding.
Yeah. And you get really interesting. We've had such a great mix of the three dogs my wife and I have had since we've been together are really just interesting dogs. I will say that. But they are just, it's so hard. I can't even put in words. I love my dogs.
I'm telling you, man. Like it is. It changes your life.
My dog currently, Charlie. It's a little Scrappy Doo kind of dog. I don't know. Have you met Charlie?
Yes, once.
Okay. Yeah. He's
adorable.
Yes, he is adorable. He's he will bark at anything, and he's that little guy that lets you know where he's at. But no, we've really had good luck and really good fortune to find the dogs that we have, and yeah.
One of the things that I do like to talk about here, and this isn't to like guilt anybody or make me feel any type of way, it's just to raise awareness, but North Carolina is actually the second highest euthanasia rate in the country. So again, if you have available space, particularly fostering is a good way to get into it because the rescues pay all of the vetting, the food, everything. Literally, all you have to do is provide space and love, and they take care of everything else. And it's a great way for you to get your feet wet and say, hey, can I take on a dog right now? Do I have the ability to? And it saves a life. You create space in the.
And there's a lot of flexibility too when you're looking. So make sure. So if you already have a dog, you want to make sure they're gonna get along well.
British Jim said Gemma got adopted yesterday. That's awesome.
All right, cool.
Happy tales, Gemma. Found her forever home. That's awesome.
Now we won't get to see her though.
That's right. She was so sweet, man. Gemma was awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No. I was just saying that I love the flexibility when you're looking.
Yeah.
And if you have a dog or if you don't have a dog and you want to make sure they're going to fit your home, your family, you have that flexibility. Everybody's kind of working on the same same page there.
I think that like rescue dogs know that they were rescued. Like there's an appreciation. Like they really do. Like they give that back to you. They know.
We only had one little issue, but it wasn't the right fit. But but other than that, every dog we've had has just jumped right into our home easily.
And the thing is, people will say, "Oh, we got Marty over here. What's up, Marty?"
People say, I just want to talk about Bud for a second.
Yeah, of course.
Bud, the shop dog, has been, and he's right here below me. He has been the most loyal dog and had the worst life to start. And it's just amazing the transition that you see when a dog gets love and is taken care of, and it's a big deal, and it's more of a big deal to the person than it is to the dog.
Who saved who, right?
Yeah, who saved who, right? So you
think you're helping them, and they're helping you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bud is absolutely a great example of a dog that just came from nothing, and all of a sudden had something and was like, wow, it's a huge difference and represents us very well, and is just a good dog, and and the end of the day, it doesn't care. We don't care how much it costs to take care of Bud.
Right.
It's all about he gives
priceless. It right back to you.
He gives it back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's unbelievable.
Definitely.
That's all I had to say.
Yeah. No, thank you.
And Bud keeps everybody in check here at
That's
Niche
right.
Wine Lounge.
Yeah, Bud's the best, man. So it's true. Like, when you think about rescuing, and there are a lot of people who are apprehensive about it, say, oh, well, I want this specific breed. I promise you, whatever breed of dog you're looking at, there is one in a shelter somewhere.
Yeah.
And I've heard it said, every dog bred is a dog dead. So just adopt, don't shop, and please spay and neuter, because it's just crazy out there. It's absolutely crazy, especially after the 4th of July. You have all the dogs that ran off and stuff. Shelters are, so do take a second look at the shelter wherever you are. If you're here locally, check out pawfecmatch.org. If you are not local, or if you're into cats or something, you know, whatever barnyard animals, there are all types of pets needing loving homes all around the country. So just connect with your local rescue or shelter and do what you can.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it is time for us to write a song. What do you got for me tonight,
What's
Jim?
that dog?
Yeah, he's right there, Bud.
No, I mean the other dog.
All right.
You need me on drums? Or?
Didn't this
Yeah,
have
if you
a
want.
strap on it?
That's what she said. Well, I want to take a second while Jim is getting the guitar ready here. I just want to thank everybody for continuing to rock with us here in season 2. We got a couple more episodes for you, and then we'll be going into season 3. So big shout out to the Niche Wine Lounge, live entertainment 6 nights a week out here. Without them, none of this would be possible. So do check us out here at the Niche. We got open mic tomorrow night as well, every Tuesday out here. So come hang with us. Ted's birthday is coming up on Saturday too. So we'll be doing a big patio party, music all day from 2 o'clock all the way till close. So come hang with us on Saturday. No, that's good. We got it, yeah.
What kind of song we want?
I don't know. Just start it out. See what comes, man. Johnny's going to help me on the chorus. There's a new girl behind the bar, and Jim don't know her name, but he keeps wondering what it is all the same. There's a new girl behind the bar, and Jim don't know her name, but he keeps wondering what it is just the same. What's your name? Hey, what's your name? What is your name? What's your name? That's just Andy in a wig. You can't fool me, my dude. It's Andy with a wig and an attitude. What's your name? What's your name? Hey, girl behind the bar. What's your name? There's a girl behind the bar, and Jim don't know her name, but he keeps wondering what it is all the same. It's Andy in a wig with an attitude. What's your name? What's your name? Little girl, I said, what's your name? What's your name? Hey girl, what's your name? Woo. Thank you, Niche Wine Lounge. We do this every single Monday. Thank all of you for listening out there at WCOM FM. We're going to keep the show going right now with Retro Rewind, 103.5 FM.
Rewind.
That's right, WCOMLP out of Chapel Hill and Carborough. That's WCOMFM.org. You can tune in live every single Monday, 11 p.m. all the way till 2 a.m. We're doing the thing. I got Johnny's going to hang around. We got Jim here. We're going to go ahead and get this radio show up and popping. Thank everybody out there in YouTube. Big shout out to Niche Wine Lounge for hosting us. Thank you to Rescue Wood Rehab for keeping things going. All of the wonderful people out there. Thank you to Andy behind the bar, in the New Girl, everybody else. All of you out there for watching, listening, doing your things. That's right. We're going to find out probably by
Darcy.
next week. I don't know. We'll see.